Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Self-Love Show. I'm your host, Dawn Light, and my gorgeous sister here, Trish Wright, is with us. We are your host weekly for the Self-Love Show. For our new viewers, welcome. And for our amazing viewers that tune in weekly, thank you so much. We just love and adore you so much. Thank you for tuning in weekly. And for those that don't know, we have a YouTube channel that the show streams to after 24 hours or so. And you can go check out tons of shows there from the previous year. And today we have a great guest. Ashley is with us. I'm going to read her bio really quickly there from the previous year. And today we have a great guest, Ashley.
I pressed the wrong button. Stuff over there in the corner.
What's that?
Say it again.
I see it out.
Okay, well that's interesting. So we're having back-end technical difficulties today. So be patient with us. So I'm going to read her bio. Many of us grew up in homes and communities that did not foster positive and healthy personal and interpersonal relational habits. So as we age, our habits become our patterns, and we start to see how our ways of being impact the way we love and how we develop our relationships. And even how our relationships devolve. The journey of securely attaching is a journey of self-love, self-responsibility, and deep compassion. Join us as we discuss how a personal practice in Tantra can assist you in cultivating security within yourself and in your relationships. Ashley is a certified Tantra and Hatha Yoga instructor, relationship coach, Reiki practitioner, EFT practitioner, and Dakini. She weaves together the emotional, psychical, physical, and spiritual worlds. If you prefer, to help you heal and overcome whatever is in the way of your most exquisite love and sex life. And the results extend far beyond just your intimate relationships, because the work and play you do together is centered on your personal fulfillment and well-being. Beautiful. Thank you, Ashley. We're so stoked for you to be here today.
Thanks for such a nice intro. I'm excited to be here too. Yay!
So tell us more about. Oh, go ahead, Trish.
So I just want to jump in around, attachment theory is a topic right now. Anybody else out there, like at our viewers digging into attachment theory? And it's so of course there's this, we've pedestaled securely attaching. Like the secure attachers are on this big pedestal. It's like, oh my gosh, will I ever get there? And then there's all these like other attachment styles, right? That are kind of like, well, I'm working towards earned secure. And I'm curious if we can just share a little bit about our personal experiences and how we've got, like what brought us to understanding our attachment theory or our attachment styles, and then what that looks like. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'll go first, I guess. Growing up in the households that I did, there was a lot of, like my parents were divorced, so there was a lot of things that weren't the same. So there was one household that was teaching certain things, and another household that was teaching other things. Like here's an example of a really like lightweight thing. I could cut my hair at my dad's house, but I couldn't cut my hair at my mom's house. I could dye my hair at my mom's house, but I couldn't dye my hair at my dad's house. So there was these like places where I couldn't find authenticity and expression. And there were some like really emotionally unsafe places that I couldn't be in both houses. So in all of that, I woke up in 2021 understanding that I'm disorganized, or as the childhood version of that was fearful of avoidance. Meaning that loving me is a lot like come here but stay that far away. It's like, kind of being held like that. So in that sense, it's like this journey for me to get to know that, like, oh, the reason why I do what I do is something that I'm still working on healing past. And the way that I get to earn secure is through really deep presence in my body, through being able to acknowledge is going to be able to share consciously and effectively with people around me. Make sense? We can get into how that all works. And anybody else want to share?
Sure. I mean, a huge part of what Tantra taught me as a result of having dealt with my own anxiety and depression, even when I was younger, was how to access the wisdom of my body and how to mitigate sort of reactionary behavior through things like meditation, breathing consciously and intentionally, understanding how those things affect our body awareness, our embodiment. And as a lifestyle practice, as a practitioner, the deeper I go, the more I reveal, the more I uncover, and the more easily I can play with things like surrender and self-knowledge and safe boundaries, so that I can lean into my growth edge in a way that feels stimulating and safe at the same time, but not re-traumatizing or, cyclical in suffering. And so I guess when you say sort of being in the body, and how important that is to relating both to ourselves and to others, what comes to mind is how deep we can go into the body, how many layers we can uncover, and how my process has been.
Beautiful. I'd honestly say for myself, discovering my attachment style, as a young one, I was definitely fearful, because when I was wanting to attach, it was like met with so much terror and, rage, from an abusive parent. And then I had a completely opposite parent that was really unconditionally loving and always present for me. So I learned to be centered with women and connected and heart-centered always with women, but with men, I learned to be fearful avoidant. So it's been a long journey of unraveling fearful avoidant with men. And now I can say I honestly have merged the two. And, I'm very blessed that I've done the inner work to be able to be whole in myself and have a successful relationship now for 18 years. So I feel very, very blessed to have met my husband, and who's generous and loving and kind, and really helped me really rewire all those places. I mean, I'd already been on the journey of rewiring it from a young one. And, my husband was the blessing that came into my life because of the inner work that I had done. So yeah, attachment style information is very important to read about. If you don't know about attachment style and what you are, I just invite you to go pick up a good read on it. And there's tons of books on attachment style. It helps you just understand where you're coming from, and like what your true patterning may be when you're getting involved or getting into relationships, what that is for you, and really like bring more love and presence to your own attachment style, and let go of judging yourself for being that way, right? Because that's the core of it, is if we can hunt out where we're judging ourselves, then it liberates ourselves. All patterns are rooted in something. So tell us more. I'm just so curious about your journey, and what feels aligned to share with us right now, Ashley, about your beautiful sacred work that you're doing in the world. It's so delicious. You have so many offerings there, EFT and Tantra.
Yeah. Gosh, my journey, where do I start?
Right.
Just thinking about it all seems like there's so much that I could share. And gosh, it's been a while since I've been on a live show, and I kind of just jumped into this. And I'm honestly right now feeling a little like like deer in the headlights, you know? So, and that's
okay.
that happens often actually. So it can happen also. I remember when I was younger, the same feeling coming up in relationship to others, like in dating or, just meeting someone that I was attracted to, feeling like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed. What do I do here? And for me, a lot of that, I believe, stemmed from the fact that I come from a divorced family, and my father moved away when I was quite young. So the opportunity to even understand, being heterosexual primarily, the opportunity to understand men in the context of relationships was something that took me quite some time to really wrap my head around, like figuring out what was healthy, what was normal, what was to be expected. And I think without those tools as a young woman, I often defaulted to feeling overwhelmed and like, the freeze, the sort of freeze reaction from my nervous system would come into play. And so, I guess my journey has been a combination of what I like to call right and left brain. And so are my tools. They're a combination of things that address what might be considered masculine and feminine qualities, or your assertive and receptive qualities, or your intuitive and logical qualities. And so I came about taking on those trainings as a result of having epiphanies as a student myself, or great growth opportunities and experiences myself. And I really realized that it stems from a lack of being comfortable and feeling safe in my body when I was younger, because I didn't have my father around, for instance, during some pivotal moments in my development. And navigating, like I learned these things, and I still use these things to help regulate my nervous system, so I don't go into that freeze response. So I can just really bring myself back to relaxation and be present and feel comfortable and safe in my body. My breath is like a reminder that I can do that.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a tool that I use often, because like you, I also, safety was a question for me so young, and trust was broken so young. So it was all about safety in that way. Like I didn't feel safe. So I learned to, like you, freeze. I think we all have that fawning and freezing. I mean, that's the thing. Like our nervous systems are programmed that way when you have trauma or scary things happen, or, even without trauma, you can have a fawn or freeze type of nervous system reaction to many.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we can develop those things as adults also. It doesn't even have to come from childhood, right? Like, after a certain length in my journey, I found myself in a relationship that was really unhealthy. And I was, I think, not informed, and definitely not as informed as I am now, and more naive about some things in the world. And that became a really unhealthy relationship for me. And I came out of that with somatic imprints of the unhealthiness in my heart, in my left side body, even in my mind, psychically. Those are all things that, even to this day, I'm still journeying deeply into and excavating and balancing and healing. And that was just in my late 20s. That was, as an adult. So it can happen over and over again also.
That's the thing about attachment, is that we're patterned to seek out the I'm going to say feelings of love that we were like shared like that. So my parents taught me what love looked like. And if I come from a highly abusive relationship with my parents, that's what love looks like. And that was one of the big things for me to actually wrap my head around. And you know, for all those people who are watching and are like, F, what the F? What am I doing here? Don't worry, because I only just really dissolved these patterns or actually was able to like see the pattern like 5 years ago, and have taken the last, you know, 4 years to really start to get super granular into understanding it. And it's taken like me separating from an abusive relationship where both him and I were both playing out the abusiveness of our childhoods. Like, and we didn't know that we were doing that. And I also want to bring up the point that, you know, we live in a codependent society. We live in these places, in these communities that are teaching us that self-abandonment is the place that we show our love. And I just saw a little video that I want to bring that really struck me hard. Is like, who read The Giving Tree?
Oh yeah.
Anyone here?
It's been a while. Yeah.
You remember that it was about a boy and a tree, where the boy and the tree had this relationship, and she gave everything to the boy until so much that she had nothing else left to give. And then at the end of the book, she didn't feel whole because she had given all of this to this boy and she didn't have anything else to give. And I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, since I saw the video, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many books that have taught us to give all of ourselves to another without giving anything to ourselves. We like the self-sourcing or the self-responsibility or the accountability, or even just feeling centered in ourselves or giving us the touch we need. Like, we're not taught to be self-sufficient, and we're not taught to be effective communicators when the inevitable human stuff will come up. Like, some of us are just stuck on survive and like, I just need to survive right now. I can't do anything because I don't have anything left to give. And that's, I think, a lot of us, especially coming out of this, the whole pandemic. And I mean, I don't know, we're not out of it, but it's just like a new way of life. So in saying that is like, give yourself some credit if you're just now hearing about attachment theory through this conversation. And if you're just now sort of like, okay, what am I going to do next? If you're starting to notice a pattern, okay, so for everyone who's watching or listening right now, if you're starting to notice a relationship pattern within yourself or within your family members, pat yourself on the back here, because just the acknowledgement and the awareness that you have around, oh, that's a pattern. I've seen this before. I've played this pattern out. That's the first step. And I just want to say, let's stop here and applaud you, because this is the hard. Aware of that. And let me just throw it out to you ladies. Is like, how long did it take for you to become aware of the pattern? It took me 30 years. It took me 30 years to become aware of one particular pattern. Whoa, huh? Just saying. And whoever's watching, share your experience there.
And for our viewers, I've also put in the chat, you'll see it in the chat, that it's a link for an attachment quiz. If you want, it's there. It's great. If you're just discovering all about this, please go check it out. Yeah. Hi, Scott. Scott is on. He says, when I'm doing educational theater and TV for kids, we did The Giving Tree. Very sad, as the boy who becomes the man is sitting on the stump of the tree at the end, having lost it all. It's so true. So
I'd really like to chime in on that giving tree and that whole giving of the self and the resourcing of the self, and how we can come back to resource, and we can come back to fullness, and we can come back to whole, because so many of us go through relationship patterns that turn out they become destructive. They can end up in breakups. Like, who hasn't had a breakup and felt totally devastated, tired, sad, grieving, and like, when am I ever going to come out of this, and how can I recover and become more resilient for and level up in love, so to speak. And I have to say that in my experience, the personal practices, a yoga practice as simple as that, breath work practice, a meditation practice, and all of those things combined, right, all part of yoga, can be so healing and regenerative and fulfilling. And it comes from the self. Like, these are ways of supporting and empowering and healing and transforming ourselves that take the simplest tools and require nothing but our bodies. So for anyone out there who's in that space and who is really wanting, yearning to feel whole again, to feel full again, to feel well and vibrant again, I cannot emphasize enough these practices. Simply circulating your energy through a light yoga practice, or a breathwork practice, it can help even bring us to full body awakening. So even if we're not aiming for full body awakening or orgasmic awakenings, we still have these tools that are so powerful that we can use on a daily basis, on a simple level, that can provide us with some deeply regenerative and healing benefits. So I just wanted to share that, because so many people do give, and by the end, they're empty. They feel empty. I've been there. I've totally been there. And thank goodness I was already a committed yoga student, and had my Tantra studies under my belt. Because without those things, oh my gosh, I probably would have felt lost and scared, tired, like empty on self-love, like judgmental towards myself also, without the compassion that those practices also provide. So I just want to put that out there.
Can I ask, everyone who's watching currently, even if it's in the replay, I invite you to share something that killing me.
We hear you.
We hear you. You just frozen. We're having technical difficulties today. That's okay. I just wanted to say, tune in and really dovetail on what you were saying, Ashley. Like, it is about self-sourcing, right? And that is how we can come back to wholeness, is feel into our heart space at any time, no matter where we are. We can go in the bathroom and work our process. If we're in a public space, we can go sit in the car and just breathe deeply and give ourselves permission to feel what's up for ourselves. And I find that just knowing this, I have the resilience, that I have the answers inside, no matter what is surfacing, right? And giving yourself permission and saying that even in the biggest, challenging moments of our life, where it's outside curriculum is just coming at us and surfacing and it's sticky and challenging, you can really lean into knowing that it's all serving your awakening. It's all an opportunity to upgrade self. And the energy they feel is an opportunity, right? So what's the opportunity for me in this? What is the opportunity here? I can really give myself more compassion here. and let go of judging that it's, you know, whatever it might be, that it's wrong, that it's bad, that I'm not enough, all the stories over, you know, things that are occurring, the parts of ourselves that are kind of fading away and moving and shifting, and then the parts that are coming to the forefront. Wow, our internet is really interestingly all over today. Forgive us. It's yeah, I don't know why. I have full bars.
Actually, I've been hearing that there's a lot of other content creators who've been having issues across the board. So, whatever it is, I'm hearing exactly what you both are saying, and it's true. It's like, what are the practices that bring you back to center? What are the things you rely on? Like, I'm realizing being in the forest is really necessary for me. I feel part of it all, part of everything. I'm unified in the creation of the world. I'm more connected to myself. I'm more connected to the people around me. I'm more calm. And without that, I feel tight. So I have to, like, I get to, and I have to, for my own self-sourcing and centeredness, is to spend more time in nature. And I'm curious, what I wanted to say is, like, what are the practices for people who are listening and watching? What are the practices that help you feel centered? What, like, when you do this practice or when you do this thing, what is it that brings you to full, like, I feel most like myself when? Is it dancing? Is it doing meditation? Is it breath work? Is it doing your light touch practice? Is it, gosh, it could be many, many things. And I'm curious about what our viewers are saying. Like, what's your practices?
Brandy says, hi, Brandy. Honestly, skating has been really good for me this year.
What kind of skating?
Yeah, I wonder what kind of
I practice
skating
And Scott says practice of gratitude. And I totally, woo, yes, yes, yes. I lean on that one myself.
You know, for
me.
Okay.
Oh, I was just saying, like, for me, honestly, it's been, you know, meditation. I always love to tune into all kinds of guided visualizations, and I kind of dovetail into inner work alongside a guided visualization. So I'll just go on YouTube, and there's tons. I have tons saved in my, like, YouTube folder or whatever, because I've just been doing it for years. And I even would walk on the treadmill and listen to, like, all kinds of motivational things. So it's been kind of a walking, moving meditation that I work it out, and, like, I hike the treadmill. That was a strong practice of mine for a long time. And but the guided visualization piece, coupled with all the inner work and the tools I've learned through graduate school, and, like, really, you know, how to take responsibility for myself, how to work my own inner process around what's going on, how you relate to the issue is the issue. And so it's really just giving myself space to acknowledge what's going on, what's the pattern up, where is this from? Like, being curious with it really opens the door to discovering more of, you know, more of yourself, more of the opportunity at hand. And then, you know, compiled with forgiveness, anytime anything comes up that you're like, oh yeah, you know, and really releasing any judgment that you're holding against yourself first and foremost, or other parties, is so healing. And that's my steady Eddie, like, daily. I'm always having this deep inquiry with myself around what's up in my life. It just gets me back to center.
I'm curious more about how Tantra can bring us into security. And can you also, okay, I think we have to define this a little bit, because as Californians and as New Agers and spiritual folks, Probably just in the understanding of, people who watch any sort of anything, the idea that we have of Tantra looks a very specific way.
Yes.
And we agree on something. And I'd love for you to launch into that a little bit.
Yes, I love talking about that.
What Tantra or we all know westernized neo-Tantra as being a very sexual practice. Mm-hmm. And I know Tantra as being a very spiritual practice of connecting and unifying the parts of self with the spirit. That's how I understand it to be in my own practice. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about, Tantra as you know it, and how that builds the foundation of security and secure relating.
Yeah. Okay. So let me start with I'm gonna infuse a little anecdote in here, because my personal journey with Tantra started as a spiritual practice with the intention of healing myself in sexuality and relationship. Okay, everything is connected. There's no doubt about that. Even our life force energy is considered our sexual energy, right? Where it's all about integration, and that even Tantra in and of itself in part means to weave. It's an all-encompassing philosophy and practice, and it's ancient. And there's in the West, you often hear Tantra referred to as either white, pink, or red. White being more about the spiritual individual purification practices, red being the more erotic, and pink being some combination of the two, right? I went for what we call white Tantra training in India almost a decade ago. And what I learned there was about the chakras, about the elements of the chakras, about the seed sounds, the breath work, the breathing practices that we can employ to help balance, regulate, open these things up, the asanas or the physical yoga postures that also help us with these things. And I let that sit in my body and I practiced on a very regular basis for a while before I even started teaching, because Tantra is such a broad and deep practice, as is the human body. We have so much breadth and so much depth and so much complexity that the marriage of one's life with Tantra and the transmission that comes through as a result, in my opinion, is best done after it's matured for some time. The transmission should come from a place of maturity. And I didn't even get into the neo-tantric, red tantric stuff until much later, actually. And that was when I started exploring the erotic practices, exploring the somatic-based practices also. So beyond just eros, we do a lot of body-based healing work where there is touch involved, and there is physical regulation of the nervous system. And there is bringing people into higher states of consciousness, all of which are possible in white Tantra as well. But it goes, they sort of use, it's like a different set of technologies. So working with energy or working with the physicality of our existence, and which one is the primary focus, and how do they intertwine? It's almost like top down or bottom up approach. Like you can go either way, and neither is better or worse. So by top down or bottom up, I'm not making a hierarchical distinction here. So I let white Tantra, I let my personal practice mature in my body before I began to really involve myself with any other Tantra practices. It's asking to define higher. I'm not sure in what context I said higher.
In regards to the levels of
what?
In regards to the levels of Tantra, I think I just wanted to include Eugene. Hi, Eugene, into the conversation. He was asking.
Yeah. Levels of Tantra.
You were
I wouldn't say there's
I'm so
And there's an understanding of like this. I think that the higher, okay, so the judgment of higher and lower consciousness can also define that as well. Like,
Right.
is there a way that it can be shared without the judgment of being better?
Yeah, there's no judgment. Let me clarify what I mean between let me clarify what I mean by using the word higher, implying lower. Okay, because I don't think I said lower, but I'll share more or less my understanding and the way that I teach about those things. So when I talk about energy or frequency as it pertains to our chakras, for instance, the root chakra is governed by earth. Earth is the most physical matter we have, and it moves slower. It's dense. Vibrationally, it's not as high frequency. That doesn't mean it's any worse. It just is a sort of a classification of the type of energy we're working with here, right? For sake of measurement. It's more about measuring the frequencies, right? And as you move to the higher chakras, you're working with higher frequency sounds, things that are, as you move up, you go from earth, then you go to water. And so let's just use those two because those are easily graspable. Water is much lighter, right? And it moves more fluidly. Yeah. And then you've got fire. Fire burns bright and fast, and it's even lighter than water, right? It's like gas. So when I talk about higher and lower, I'm not necessarily implying levels or judging any kind of practice. What I'm pointing towards instead is the types of experiences one can have. Yeah. Based on what they're accessing in their own body. So what you're accessing from within is going to indicate the vibrational frequency of the healing or transformation or experience, because there are all sorts of things you can experience in Tantra. Or even the type of orgasm, for instance. Yeah, you can have a full body energetic orgasm. You can also have mind-blowing clitoral orgasms, G-spot orgasms, like they're all, and I'm just talking about, orgasms with vaginas there. So I can go much further. But does that feel clear? Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Wonderful. Yeah, I don't carry judgment around who practices what and how, and it's all Tantra is all inclusive. It's all about fully integrating your yes, your desire, your needs, your pain and suffering, bringing it all together, and really doing a lot of what we call transmutation work, which is like alchemizing. So looking at those things really deeply and holding them and allowing them to be from then on a source of power, empowerment. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Making what is perceived as potential wounds or places where there wasn't empowerment, rewiring it to be in a place of empowerment is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I was suffering from anxiety and depression, came from a divorced family, had no real grasp on intimacy between men and women and what that looked like on a healthy basis. And of course, Tantra is not the only thing that I've used or that's not the only thing that supported me. I work in a variety of with a variety of methods. But the technology that Tantra offers to move energy and bring us to embodied awareness is one of the most powerful things for sure that I work with, and it's dear to my heart. It's a constant, and it's important to me, and it's beautiful in all of its forms. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and going back to security in relationships and how Tantra can bring us into more security. Let's go back to the root chakra. The root chakra, again, earth element, also governs our primal instincts, our basic needs, It is the source from which we receive messages around those things. And it is the source, it is sort of the receptor, so to speak, of communication from the external world around those things also. So it's connected with things like, arousal in a arousal of any sort, actually. But what I'm thinking here is like for survival, in a predatorial sort of environment where there might be a predator of some sort, whether real or perceived, whether human or animal, whether, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, a lot of us, when we experience trauma and suffering as young people, do find ourselves in what Trish and I were discussing the other week as the drama triangle, right? The perpetrator, the victim, the hero, and all of those are sort of really connected to the root chakra. And so by balancing, by regulating, opening up, balancing, and just sitting comfortably in all of our fears and in all of our stories and all of our reactivity, and breathing through that, and regulating our nervous system through breath, through asana, through sound, which all connect to the vagus nerve, which is all connected to even our not just our hormonal, but also our what is the word I'm looking for? Our immune system.
Yes.
Our immunity is connected to the well-being of our nervous system as well. And then it also, governs whether we get into fight, flight, freeze, or rest and digest. How do we respond or react to things? All of those things are connected to the root chakra. And the root chakra is our foundation, or the basis from which all else stems. So it's really important to get in there and dig deep in there and do that deeper work, and sit, like, have a meditation practice to help you also observe, observe your behavior with more clarity and conscientiousness, so that when the opportunities do come up, like Dawn mentioned earlier, to grow, like, what is the opportunity for me here? That clarity of mind and that precision awareness really are some of our best allies in the work also.
I really feel like it's an opportunity when you're in that moment, right? When you're in that moment, where can I cleanse my lens of perception of how I hold it inside myself, right? Because it's how we're responding with ourself that's the incongruence. So through the tools you're saying, it's a really powerful way of rewiring how we hold it, rewiring how we feel it, how we sense it, how we see it, and then that up levels what we tell ourselves when we're going through it.
Yeah.
And then when Spirit brings it back around, like the same experience back around, if you can hold it differently and show up differently, then you're moving through it as a healed whole self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, a lot of that is connected to the intuition, or the third eye chakra, being able to see. And I often will, with my clients, talk about how, even in my world, the past can color the present. And so your lens can be colored by past experiences, right? Which, is easily translated over to attachment theory also. Like, they talk all the time about, the past coloring the present, but in different terms. And I find that doing this work allows us to not only have more clarity and experience more rapid growth in relationship to others, but also with myself. In my own private time, I can rest and relax, and some intuitive hit will just come to me, and I'd be like, I've been doing that for years. Like, it's slowly bubbling up to the surface, but it's my clarity of vision and my openness. And in yoga, we talk about the nadis, or the psychic and energy channels, right? And the more we can open those, the more healing we can do all the time. So
I love that.
yeah.
Would you like to open us even further and share your beautiful meditation with us that you?
Yeah, sure. Yes. Let's do a guided meditation. Is it just me?
Yes, I'm here. You're just gonna lead us for a minute.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, sure. I was just aware that Trish looked a little frozen, so
She's very frozen, so we're just
It's
continue.
colder, okay?
You're there. Okay.
Right.
All right. Okay, yeah, let's definitely begin. Okay, so just make sure you're in a really comfortable position. Whatever your body is craving right now to feel sturdy and open, whether that's sitting up or laying down. Just make sure that your spine is upright if you're sitting and that your chin is slightly tucked in so the back of your neck is nice and long. If you want to lay down and that's more comfortable for you, just ensuring that it's kind of on a flat surface. And taking a few deep breaths in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. You can make a sigh. Just getting relaxed in the body and allowing that extra layer of sound vibration to help you open and rest simultaneously. So stimulating yourself with sound and helping yourself relax simultaneously with that nice vibration. I'm just closing our eyes and focusing on our breath here. And taking those few breaths and really beginning to connect with the inner landscape of your physical and emotional bodies. Noticing what you feel physically, if there's any tightness, any tension, any contraction, if you feel expansive, if you feel jittery or distracted, notice what you feel emotionally. Is there anything pulling on you from the present moment? Are you able to feel fully present and comfortable with where you're at emotionally right now? See if you can notice without judgment or analysis. Just notice. The purpose of noticing is simply to create gentle and accepting awareness. So just building your awareness for now. Taking a few moments to scan your body and continuing to breathe slowly and consciously. Maybe taking a deep belly breath or imagining that as you inhale through your nose, it goes all the way down to your root chakra, which is just below your tailbone. Maybe a nice open mouth exhalation as you relax your pelvic floor at the same time. And maybe bringing your awareness up to the crown of your head now. Shifting away from the pelvic floor for now. We'll go back down there a little bit later. We're going to do a full body scan from the crown of the head. Take a few moments to keep your attention there. If you're experiencing thoughts coming into your mind, you can allow them to pass without giving them too much attention or significance. So just being a witness. Just witness your thoughts. Also witness when you're drifting away from simply observing. So if you can sit and imagine that your conscious awareness is seated just behind your mind and it's observing your mind as opposed to identifying with your mind as your conscious awareness. And if at any point you find yourself latching onto a thought or something that you feel heavily identified with, come back to your breath. Breathe deeply into the core of your body. Give it a few breaths if that attachment is strong. Oh, and noticing the body sensations. Begin to move your attention down the spine slowly. And take time to feel your heart center now. Breathe into your chest. Imagining the light of your heart expanding ever further around you, expanding ever further around you, beyond you. Moving down to your belly, and checking in what's going on down in your belly. Is there any tightness in there? Are there any jitters in there? Are you feeling full from lunch? What's going on in there? Just breathing into your belly and being present. You can even put your hands on your belly. Bring yourself to your emotional center. And then let's finally come back to the base of the spine, to the bottommost point of the tailbone, where your root chakra lives. Remembering this is governed by the earth element, and it lives between the base of your spine and your pelvic floor. So of all the chakras, of the major chakras, this is also the closest to the earth. Take 3 expansive breaths as you deepen your awareness of your root chakra. So tune in to your pelvic region at the base of your spine. And breathe into that space. Allow the breath to fill this space. And observe what's happening there. You may feel warmth emitting from this region, for instance. Or the pull of gravity at the base of your spine. Breathing in, tuning in, deeply relaxing, and letting your focus drop into this space. Again, you may want to place a hand over your lower belly or squeeze your perineum up. Your perineum is that little space right on your pelvic floor when you're squeezing your Kegels, for instance, that you feel lift up and in. And as you continue to focus on your root chakra, I want you to begin to sense the connection to the earth element and focus in on a stronger sense of groundedness, of stability, of rootedness in your body. Maybe feel into your legs and into your feet solidly on the ground, on the earth below you. Feel the support of gravity, the support of this planet, the nourishment this planet offers us. Let that bring you to a state of deeper groundedness, deeper security. Your root chakra is also located at the base of your sex center. So this is the part which empowers us to bring new life or creation into the material plane. As you continue to focus on this space, I want you to begin to connect to your creative relationship with the earthly plane. So everything that we create is connected to our relationship with the planet. Again, feeling your feet and legs completely anchored to the earth, to gravity. Begin to sense the gravitational pull of planet Earth even more, keeping you safe, keeping you connected and grounded to your nature. As you inhale, you notice that your connection to the pelvic floor is an extension to the earthen plane of security, stability, and balance. And it continues to expand and reinforce in strength as you breathe into it. So imagine as you're breathing into your root chakra, the energy, the earth energy that you can sense and connect to from the base of your body expands, providing you a stronger, more stable platform from which to exist, from which to be, from which to relate. And as your grounding floor becomes stronger and more expansive, and your breath becomes more relaxed, your mind and your nervous system begin to relax, knowing you can rest your physical and emotional body on this rediscovered foundation. And just take some time here to breathe into that floor and really feel safety, security, connection to the earth, groundedness through your lower body. That solid foundation from which you are allowed to operate as a sovereign being. You belong here. This is the message of the root chakra. You belong. You have the right to exist in your fullness on this planet. Witness this earthen floor expand all around you with its origin and anchor at the base of your spine in connection to the planet. It might feel heavy. Your tailbone might drop and open as you invite more breath into this space and you give yourself permission to truly feel safe in all of your desires, your inspiration, your emotions, aspirations. You are safe and supported through this center and connection located in your body. Deeply inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Continue breathing life into your root chakra, intentionally channeling more of your life force energy into this space and filling up your base as you completely accept and embrace the reality of your animal nature, of your right to exist, giving yourself permission to feel safe and belonging. Filling up your base with breath and your lungs now as this plane of stability continues to grow. You begin to feel an unwavering sense of stability and centeredness now. And you begin to notice an overall calm taking hold within your inner body. Meditate on this for as long as you wish, for as long as you feel serves you. Until you feel so whole, so grounded, so nourished, so accepted, and so safe, impenetrably, unwaveringly, that you can go out into the world in your total and complete self and universal love. Take a few more breaths to close this meditation and inhale and a sigh through the mouth. Giving your nervous system one more opportunity to just rest and reset today. Maybe placing your hands on your heart and giving thanks to yourself for taking the time out of your day to reset, to ground, to remember that you belong here with me. I belong here with you. We belong here together.
That was great. Thank you so much. Belonging is such a big one, you know, for so many of us. It's so important to know ourselves as belonging. I really acknowledge that it's such a powerful energy and message to spread far and wide for those viewers that are tuning in. Thank you. Like, such a precious gift you gave us today. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to do it.
Yeah, we appreciate your love and generosity, and your light that you spread in the world through the work you're doing is really precious and dear. And I know that you shift world. You do. Yeah.
Likewise. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's super wonderful to meet you today, and I'm so excited to know more about your practice and your lovely place in Mexico. Like, wow, how lucky people are to have you there.
Yes. Yeah. I am booking retreats down here. I've got my calendar is filling up, but I'm loving bringing people down here to Mexico and giving them this full experience of belonging and expansion. It's amazing. It's magical. And I would love to invite you two both also, of course, to come down. Yes. Yeah.
I can get into some embodiment.
What was that?
Oh, I said I can get into some embodiment in a nice warm place. What I love, what I just want to share about what I loved about that practice is that you wove our awareness and our body, like you wove the mind and the body together so that it's really like the recentering, right? And I think that sometimes I think that when we're living in these bodies and there's a lot of feelings. There's a lot of like, I really like the, I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't we all like those, like, you know, epinephrine and like oxytocin drugs, and I'm like happy drugs. Like, I'm like, ooh, yay. And then there's like those uncomfortable ones that are like, oh, I don't ones. And I sometimes forget that this is part of the journey and the being embodied place, is that the discomfort is the sensation in which we can just rest in. And it's okay to rest there, and it's okay to be in that place. And it's okay because we still belong.
Yes.
Right? We still belong here. Like I am here with me when I can feel those feelings and sensations in my body.
And this is the gift of also expanding our connection to the earth. We're allowed to ground and feel supported in everything. It's all real, it's all relevant, and it's all a teacher. All of it has teaching. And if we can just hold ourselves, because we feel so sturdy as beings connected to this planet, if we're able to just hold ourselves and contain ourselves, we can also find ways to nurture ourselves back to balance and back to homeostasis. Yeah.
What I giggled at inside right now when you were like, contain oneself, and I have this, I was like, oh no, no, and then I have this little thing that when I'm really emotional, I call it being an amoeba. So it just resonated there with me.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't mean to say that it's important that we can contain ourselves and strictly do so and develop hyper independence. It's not about hiding. It's not about being so independent and so capable that we never share and that we're never vulnerable. I melt down and cry with people regularly. Thank you. Like, I need to just be held sometimes, and that's okay. Sometimes things are overwhelming, but as we mature in this practice, the point is growth and strength and reinforcement of the wisdom. And that wisdom is really what gets us through to the other side on many occasions. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Especially thank you for your time and your wisdom and your years of practice in White Tantra. And Dawn, thank you so much for your wisdom and your steadfastness.
Thank you.
Like, you both are very secure, beautiful humans in the world, and it's lovely to witness secure feminine you know, because I think it's a really powerful place to be. I want to thank Scott Katamis and Love Coach Academy for always just sharing us out and being the muse for the show. And the Sign Network for sharing us out. And our viewers, I really want to thank our viewers for showing up and sharing us out and really like helping us build a community of love and getting our word and our work and our, you know, our beautiful guests work out. And if you have anyone that you'd like to see on the show or any topics that you're, you know, really invested in or things that you're working on, you know, Facebook us or send us an email or, you know, like we really like this is our heart work for you. And Dawn and I'm going to share for both of us, because I know this to be true, is that we're committed to helping you evolve where you want to go. And that's why we bring on different guests. And that's why we show up every week, is that it's important for us to offer like free therapy to everyone, because this,
Yay!
So everyone has access. Like this is very, very important. And yeah, so I'd love to be able to share out Ashley's how to find Ashley and how to find us on YouTube. And I'd love for you to share about this other little program that we're working on, or that you're working on.
Ashley, can you put your link in the private chat?
Yes.
And then I will post it for you.
Yeah.
So I already posted in the chat for everybody the comments. So thanks, viewers. If you want to just share out the show or see any of the other shows, you can rewatch it. There's a link in the chat, and then Ashley's going to give me the link. And while she's doing that, I will post. If you are a beautiful woman and you're interested in expanding your definition of trust in life and reclaiming where there's places where trust has been broken and really rediscovering new places of empowerment inside of yourself and how to step forward as, you know, queen and sovereign inside of your body, right? In your relationship, especially, then we're just asking to come on over into our free group. It's called Reclaim Your Trust. And it is for beautiful women out there. You know, sorry, men, we will eventually have something for you too. But for now, like, this is a woman-centered focus group. And it's amazing. We have great women in there. And it's just a beautiful place to just let yourself be seen, heard, acknowledged. And, you know, we're all on the journey of becoming more and more whole inside of ourselves as a human, right? And really allowing ourselves to be empowered in places where there wasn't, and rewriting those scripts, rewriting that story for ourselves, and really expanding your nature of love inside of yourself, most importantly, and inside of your relationships that you have, which is really key ingredient to successful relationships. So yeah, we'd love to have you. And I will take a look here. Ashley posted in the private chat. Beautiful. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, and if you want to tune into Ashley's beautiful sacred work, we're posting it right now in the chat. Go explore her beautiful website. Love to see it. And thank you again, Ashley. You're just such a light in the world. Really lovely to meet you. I acknowledge your sacred work. This has been a lovely show. And thank you again to our viewers for tuning in weekly. We love you. We adore you. And this is for you. This is an elevated state of consciousness weekly to just bring forward more love, more compassion, more understanding, and spread the message far and wide of, you know, that it's important to care for ourselves, right? And have that self-love.
Thank you both so much for bringing me on. I appreciate it. And it's just such an honor. And bring me back anytime. I loved it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We're going to say adios till next time. We love you and see you soon. Send us a message if you're curious about any shows or wanting to have a specific topic. Reinforce that again. And please go like and share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That really helps us so much. So I hope you have a fabulous week, and we'll see you next Thursday. Ciao, Bella.